Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jack Ryan, and welcome to another video. You guys might be wondering, what is this series? Well, folks, this series right here is a little mini series I have decided to go ahead and do to help people get started in Microsoft Flight Simulator or any simulation in general, but more directed towards Microsoft Flight Simulator and getting started in the bigger aircraft. Today's video is going to be on SimBrief. This is a very useful tool that you can use on free flights. When it comes to the career mode, however, this is not a recommended usage due to the fact that it has a pre-programmed flight path that it wants you to fly. And if you don't follow the specifics and you don't do stuff, that causes you to lose money in the game. So to start off with, I'll go over a few different things. There are a few key features of stuff you want to utilize. First is your departure airport. This is a very important thing. You might be wondering, what is this? As you see here, I have a few things set. You have KPTV, KBOS, KJFK. This is known as an ICAO code. This is what each airport is identified as. So if we were to look up here online, here's an example of an ICAO code. So as you see here, we have Boston Logan International. This is how we all know it as with the Boston Airport. However, its actual name that is known, also known as the ICAO code, is very specific. As you see here, though, we have a code right here. This is not your ICAO code. This is another code for reference, but this is not the ICAO code. Now that we've looked up, as you see here, this is an IATA code that we had seen before, which is a different code of reference. Most flight computers that you utilize are going to use an ICAO code. All your big planes utilize this. So whenever you are programming a flight in your plane, you want the ICAO code. So say you're flying to Boston, that is KBOS. And say you're wanting to fly to JFK in New York, that's known as KJFK in the ICAO code. So if we just go into here, utilizing SimBrief, and you go to KBOS as your departure, the place you are leaving, and you're going to arrive at JFK, we'll type KJFK. Alternates, this is alternate routes that you can detour to. Say you had bad weather at Kennedy, or there's something that happened at Kennedy and you're getting short on fuel and you have to detour. This, you can specify what it is. However, I usually like to leave it as an auto. Another thing, if you want to do some extra stuff, this next few steps are going to be a little different. You can set it up however you want. At this point, the key features that you need done is your aircraft information, your variant, and it will do the rest for you. So those are the other things you need to know. But just for the optional stuff, I'll go over that here after we go over the mandatory stuff. So right here, after we filled out our departure and our arrival, we have our aircraft info. As you can see here, there is a lot of info and this can get very overwhelming. In my video series, I'm going to be using the 737 as well as the A320neo. So to simplify this, all you have to do is find an A320neo. Well, what's an A320neo? Something you can do is press your A32, and that already specifies, it already dropped down here to the A320. Well, with it being the neo variant, it's the A320N. So once we have that specified, notice how it's already gone ahead and filled up the map right here. This is going to be your little flight path, so this is an important one, but we're not done yet. With this, say you had bought a few different variations of it online, so you're modding. Sometimes you have the different things. So for example, there's the fly-by-wire or the AnyBuilds. These are two different manufacturers of different models. The one that Microsoft Flight Simulator uses, at least the one that I'm going to be going over in the video, is the one by AnyBuilds. It's the V2 variant. So I specify that. Another piece that is very useful, say you are doing a simulator, or not just any simulator, but you're doing VATSIM as an example, and there only certain runways are available. You can specify which runway, and arrival runway is one that you'll have to do. Say you know what flight level you want to coast at, you can fill that in. For example, your 37,000, also known as flight level 370. Passengers, you can specify how much you want your freight. However, this usually will autofill for you for what you need to get done. So, for example here, I'm just going to let it decide what is a good flight altitude for me. Next is your important thing. This is your route. So as we see here, we have SOX 7 departure. Sometimes when you have your SID or your STAR, SID being your standard instrument departure, or your standard arrival procedure is your STAR, these are two separate things. So whenever you are programming what runway you're taking off from, and you see something like this is your SID. Notice how it has a number at the end of it and nothing else has a number. That is because each one of these, right, like this right here and this, are your different ways of approaching or leaving an airport. These are usually going to be utilized for specific runway approaches. If you have a Navigraph subscription, you'll see a lot of these in more detail. Another thing here, say you don't like the way this looks, how you're going to go, you can autofill. If you know the waypoints, you can autofill it. Or you can just choose between what's already here. Like when I say autofill, you can look over here, press, example, this button, and notice how you have this as a reference. Like we have this one over here. Or you can press this, and now you have others. So say you don't want CCC over here, and you wanted ZAN over here, this little piece right here, you could input that in. So you can build your route too. But usually I like it to pick it for me. So say we don't like this departure, we can go here. See how it gives us a different line, or here, here, or here. Whichever one works best for you. For me, I'm going to stick with this one for our demonstration in the next few videos. So now, say you're done, you're ready for everything, you'll go ahead and hit generate flight. You'll get all your details you need. Obviously, I'm going to go over the optional stuff now. So optional, if you say you want to, just for the realism's sake of it, want to do your airline, each airline has a ICAO code as well. Just like we have ICAO codes for each departure and arrival airport, for all the airports, airlines have their own ICAO codes, and the flight number is whatever you want it to be. If you look on a flight radar, you'll see like Delta has their own flights. Each flight number is unique. So that is whatever number you want it to be. So for this one, let's just go DAL, because that is Delta. And we'll do 1549. And that'll be our flight number. Another optional is, an example, since we did this, we can say our ATC call sign, our air traffic control call sign, is Delta 1549. And then right here, you can specify your flight layout. American Airlines, all that. Usually I like to do the Delta. And the AIRAC cycle, this is your up-to-date information. I don't have an Navigraph subscription, so whenever I do this, I'm told I should get a subscription, which I'm not going to do because I will not be doing that here. So you have a good chance that your stuff will be out of date. Your units, I always recommend keeping it in kilograms. The flight maps, detailed, route only, I just keep it detailed. Your taxi in and out times, set this how you want. I usually just leave it at 20 and 8. Flight rules, IFR is being your instrument flight rules, visual flight rules, instrument flight rules to visual flight rules, or visual flight rules to IFR. I just keep it IFR because whenever I take off, I like to keep going off of instruments. I find it simpler, some people don't. So this is your own choice of how you want to fly. Your type of flight, if it's scheduled, non-scheduled, general aviation, all that sort of stuff. And how many alternates you want. Obviously, I'm going to keep one alternate airport. Scheduled block time. You can ignore this. I will be honest, I still don't know what this stands for, and I have not played with it too much because I don't find a need for utilizing it. Like I said before, your altitude, all this, I let it do it automatically because it gives you a decent one. So you have a good amount of time of coasting at your top of your climb, and you approach your top of descent, and not just like as soon as you reach your height you need to be. It gives you a good height so you can just stay at a cruising altitude, save some fuel. Passengers, all that. Just let it pick it for you, because at least with this, it's going to give you what you need to get to your destination if it's within the parameters, or not parameters, but if it's within what the aircraft is able to do. Fuel planning. I do not touch this, just leave this to auto. You're saving yourself time. It will know based on the aircraft that you specified what you need for fuel. your text entries, this is who you have. All right, text entries, this is your names, remarks. This is literally just for like flair. This does nothing that affects your aircraft. This is just little remarks you can do. And obviously we specified our route. So now that we're done here, and we have once you finally feel like you're done, confirm everything one more time, and then you generate flight. So say you're using Volanta like I do, you can then, after this is generated, you can just add a flight plan, and it will import your flight plan directly in and appear on your Volanta. Same thing as if you're going to be using your Neo, you can utilize that. Under your account settings, you can get your unique IDs and import them into your different pieces so that you can load it into the game or your software. I hope this makes sense to you guys, but I feel this is a decently easy one to do. And here's where I'll walk you through what we just have here. So like we said, specified before, we have Delta 1549 as our flight number and call sign. We have our departure and our arrival, as well as our alternate. Our aircraft type is specified, departures, date, time, arrival, air time. So it's estimating we'll have 53 minutes in the air. And here's where, remember how we were saying I like to leave the altitude to be automatically chosen for me? This is specifying we'll be flying at 22,000 feet, which means we'll have a decent amount of cruising time. As well as our cruise profile, how long our distance, like how much of a distance we have, our average wind, and other pieces like that. Here we have our fuel sheet. So say you don't have the luxury like the Neo where you can just press a button and it automatically fills it out for you. You can input all this information in manually. And then last but not least, the most important pieces. So right here, it detected that in Boston, runway 09 is our best departure. And runway 04 right is our best arrival between the two airports. As you see here, we have our SID, and then we have our star, which will help us in our arrival procedure and our departure procedure. And then if you wonder what DCT stands for, DCT just means direct. So from SOX, we're going directly to Buzzard, which is going directly to SEY, which we are then doing our arrival procedure. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them. Have a good one, guys.